Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. As the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs valedictory session of Combined Commanders Conference at Kevadia in Gujarat. WHO thanks India, South Africa for proposals to WTO to waive patents on medical products for COVID-19 until the end of the pandemic. Foreign Secretary of India says India's relations with Japan have acquired dimensions of a special strategic and global partnership. India beat England in the final cricket test to clinch the series 3-1, qualify for the World Test Championship final, reclaim top spot in the latest ICC Test team rankings. And PV Sindhu storms into world's women's singles final of Swiss Open badminton tournament at Basel. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the valedictory session of the Combined Commanders Conference at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia, Gujarat on Saturday. Our correspondent reports that during the 3-day conference, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the military commanders and a team of secretary-level officers from the Ministry of Defence participated in deliberations. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, Army Chief General M.M. Narvane, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria and Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh also attended the conference. Jawans and junior commissioned officers also participated in the conference for the first time. The Combined Commanders Conference, which is a premier brainstorming event of the military officials, is taking place after 3 years. According to the sources, the scope of this year's conference was expanded to make it a multi-layered, interactive, informal and informed event with the added participation of about 30 officers and soldiers of various ranks from the 3 services. Foreign Secretary of India, Mr. Harshvardhan Shringla, has said that India's relations with Japan have acquired the dimensions of a special strategic and global partnership firmly rooted in history and based on common values, speaking on the topic of Indo-Japan collaboration for the development of India's North-East region. Mr. Shringla said that India's Act East policy also subsumed in the wider vision for the North-Eastern region as the 3 Cs, connectivity, commerce and cultural commonalities. Mr. Shringla also spoke on the India-Japan Act East Forum established by Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Abe in 2017 to coordinate joint efforts for the overall development of the region. The initiative aims to enhance connectivity between our North-East region and Southeast Asia and Bangladesh.
More than 1,94,97,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered to beneficiaries in the country so far. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry on Saturday informed that a total of 14,92,201 doses of vaccines were administered to the beneficiaries in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 96.98%, with total recovery of more than 14,000 patients in the last 24 hours. The ministry said that more than 1,08,00,000 patients have already recovered from this disease. A total number of 18,327 new cases were reported in the country in the past 24 hours. In India, COVID-19 vaccination for veterans and dependents of armed forces personnel in service hospitals is expected to start next week. The Union Health Ministry has given approval in this regard. The Indian Army said the process is likely to commence next week after completion of registration of armed forces medical facilities on the CoWIN platform. The guidelines for vaccination will be issued in a few days. Now let's take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world.
His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet received his first COVID-19 jab at the zonal hospital Dharamsala on Saturday. His Holiness appealed to all eligibles, especially patients, to come forward and get themselves vaccinated for the greater benefit. Germany's top health authority on Friday reported that the UK coronavirus variant now made up at least 40% of cases compared to 6% 4 weeks ago. Chancellor Angela Merkel had announced on Wednesday a 5-step plan to relax the measures in place that was highly conditional to the rate of weekly cases. The Switzerland government has announced that it will offer free COVID tests to the public and commuters from across the borders as of mid-March. Italy is postponing a round of local elections until after the summer due to the spread of coronavirus. Major cities including Rome, Milan, Naples, Turin and Bologna were set to elect new mayors in June, but the pandemic has challenged their campaigns according to reports. About 96,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine shipped via the COVAX facility arrived in Liberia on Friday. The first shipment of COVID vaccines also reached Djibouti on Saturday, while 12,000 doses reached Fiji. COVAX is a facility to ensure equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines globally. Meanwhile, Director General of the WHO thanked India and South Africa for their proposal to the World Trade Organization to waive patents on medical products for COVID-19 until the end of the pandemic. Anuja Kumar for World News, All India Radio.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan won a vote of confidence in the National Assembly on Saturday. The National Assembly is the lower house of Pakistan's parliament. Mr. Imran Khan had announced his intention to seek a vote of confidence on Thursday. In a televised address to the nation, Pakistan's Prime Minister stated that money had been used to influence Senate elections for the past 30 to 40 years, adding that it posed a challenge to the country. The development came in the wake of the current Finance Minister of Pakistan getting defeated in the Senate elections on Wednesday. Senator Shibli Faraz has tweeted that Prime Minister Imran Khan has announced Sadiq Sanjrani for the Senate chairmanship. India has expressed pleasure at Bangladesh's graduation from the least development country LDC status. Spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry of India, Mr. Anurag Srivastava, on Friday reiterated External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's statement that India will continue to support Bangladesh and partner with them in their growth trajectory. Speaking on the South Asia Free Trade Agreement, SAFTA, the External Affairs Ministry said that Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Ms. Sheikh Hasina, appreciated the duty-free access provided by India to goods originating from Bangladesh.
Spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry, Mr. Anurag Srivastava, has dismissed allegations levelled against India in the Freedom House report, which downgraded India's status as a democracy and free society to partly free. Speaking to the media on Friday, Mr. Srivastava called into question the political judgment of the US government-funded NGO and said India had robust institutions and well-established democratic practices.
The political judgment of Freedom House are as inaccurate and distorted as their maps. For example, on the COVID-19 situation, there is a widespread appreciation in the world of our response, of our high recovery rate and of our low fatality rate. India has robust institutions and well-established democratic practices. We do not need sermons, especially from those who cannot get their basics right.
External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, on his recently concluded visit to Bangladesh, said that the country is central to India's Neighbourhood First policy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is due to visit Bangladesh this month. The series of high-level visits underlines the strong and ever-growing bonds of friendship between the two neighbours. In today's Hotspot section, we are focusing on Indo-Bangla relations as the two nations celebrate the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Hotspot for the World News.
India and Bangladesh share historical, civilizational and cultural ties. Bengali, which is spoken in both the countries, is a strong bond. Bilateral relations have been really warm. Dr. Muntasir Mamoon, a veteran professor of history at Bangabandhu Chair in Chittagong University in Bangladesh. The prominent intellectual is the author of several books on Bangladesh. He also regularly contributes columns to several Bengali language newspapers. He has been the recipient of President's Gold Medal in 1963, Bangla Academy Literary Award in 1992 and Ekushe Padak in 2011, and several other laurels belong to him. Professor Mamoon, the very introduction itself is rather interesting. Chairman of 1971 Genocide, Torture, Archive and Museum Trust. Tell us, our listeners, what this trust is all about.
You see, the main feature of our liberation war is genocide and torture. The genocide and torture carried out by the Pakistani army 50 years back and their collaborators during the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971, the then Pakistan, can hardly be compared with any other genocide in the world. After the Second World War, such a number of people have never been killed together, nowhere in the world but in Bangladesh, within just 9 months. In just 9 months, the Pakistan army and their collaborators, I should say Bengali collaborators, killed more than 3 million people. The official number is 3 million. But recently, we are doing a survey on 64 districts of Bangladesh. We have completed 30 districts on the surveys on genocide incidents, killing fields, torture cell, and mass graves. The result of the 30 districts that we have indicates that more than 3 million people were killed and more than 5 lakh women were raped. Because at that time, there was no survey, we just had a number. Now, still disappointing that still Bangladesh has not yet been able to gain international recognition of the genocide committed in 1971. Nobody supported us, only India and Soviet Union supported us. So, the genocide, you see, victory was ours, no doubt about it. But they suppressed the thing, suppressed genocide and rape. Because and we also, in our country, we emphasized on victory. Because it was for the first time in Bengal's history that Bengalis own freedom. But the main feature is genocide.
So you said that the very aspect of the killings of innocent people was ignored by large number of countries across the globe.
Yeah, of course.
But what motivated you to come out with a structure like this? Did you want to bring it to the notice of the global community?
Two things, you see. And then I have to tell about, you see, the politics of genocide. In Bangladesh, you know, after the assassination of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1975, the military rulers ruled Bangladesh. And their allies were pro-Pakistani minded Bengalis and the perpetrators of 1971. And this is the only museum in South and Southeast Asia, except one in Phnom Penh. But there's a difference between Phnom Penh's Genocide Museum because it was there a kind of civil war. But ours was not a civil war, it's a war of independence. So there is a difference. In that regard, you can say this is the only genocide museum in South and Southeast Asia. And there was a movement in Bangladesh for the trial of the perpetrators. And these rulers, they didn't want this. When Sheikh Hasina came to power, she started this trial, crime against humanity. So that's why we thought we should have a genocide museum so that people know what Pakistan did, Pakistani soldiers did to Bangladesh people and their local perpetrators.
So what do you have in this museum which will draw the attention of a viewer or a listener or to a layman that these are the features which make it different from any other museum across the globe?
We have national museums. We are focusing on genocide and torture. That includes killing fields, mass graves, genocidal incidents, and the plight of the refugees. Everything is included under the genocide and torture. Now we are showing, you see, our exhibit consists of, you see, things related to the victims. We have skulls from the mass graves. I will give you an example, a blueprint of General Niazi. This is only one piece which are exhibited in the Genocide Museum, that they had a blueprint of killing, you see. It's the only document in our country. And we have documents from the perpetrators. You see the Shanti Committee, which is known as Peace Committee, Al-Badrs, the members of the Jamaat Islami, and so on and so forth. So it's on victims and on perpetrators who killed the Bengali people.
Do you think that the main reason behind these killings or the reasons behind the then West Pakistan's design to foil or to stop the voices of the Bengali language people, was the language only reason for this?
No, it's not only the language. So you see, from 1947, the central government of Pakistan were Punjabi dominated. There were 4 units, you see. But then again, it became one unit. So they not only suppressed the Bengalis, they also suppressed the Sindhis. Baluchis still, they're suppressing the Baluchis and the Sindhis. Now, we were treated as a colony, from a British colony to a Pakistani colony. So there were inequality in every field of the politics and society. So language was a cultural, we should say, cultural inequality, or they wanted to suppress the cultural identity of Bengalis, you see. So we have movement, language movement, then we have movement against army or martial law, as we know. So this sort of thing, we, from 47 to 1971, we were in the streets, always fighting against the oppression, domination, colonialism, and other things.
Listeners, we are in conversation with Dr. Muntasir Mamoon, the professor and Bangabandhu chair at the Chittagong University in Bangladesh. Well, Professor Muntasir, in 2012, you appeared as a prosecution witness at International Crimes Tribunal 1, which was engaged by the Bangladesh government to try the war criminals of 1971.
Yeah.
In your witness account, you said that the members of the then Peace Committee used to advise Pakistani military leaders about where and how to strike the freedom fighters of Bangladesh. Professor, could you please share your views on the significant events related to the war of Bangladesh and the role of Pakistani army?
You see, Pakistani army was there, but some other right-wing political parties, such as Muslim League or Jamaat Islami, they supported these Pakistani soldiers because they thought Pakistan equal to Islam. So it was a sort of a jihad for them. But you see, they ignored the fact that we had different culture, different language, different land, everything. So they supported Pakistan and collaborated with Pakistan, and they made several committees like Peace Committee. Ghulam Azam, who was then at that time the chief of Jamaat Islami, Bangladesh or the Afghanistan, Pakistan, was a member of the Shanti Committee or Peace Committee. So there was a confusion that Peace Committee only collaborated, but our document shows they not only collaborated, they took part directly or indirectly in killings. So they confiscated the properties of Hindus, minorities, Awami Leaguers, and Mukti Yoddhas, liberation war fighters. So they actively participated in the killing, raping. There was Al-Badr. Al-Badr was a Chhatru Shibir, was the student front of Jamaat Islami. They were converted into Al-Badr, the killers who used to kill people, and particularly the intellectuals. You know the intellectuals killing of Bangladesh.
Professor Muntasir, how do you look at the role of the Mukti Yoddhas and the role of India in terms of liberation of Bangladesh?
We had a historical time, no one can deny it. We are the part of the subcontinent, not only Bangladesh, other states also, Pakistan also. So we may disown it, but you can't deny history. But you see, not only the government, it is the people of India, not only the surrounding states of Bangladesh, even in Delhi, even in Maharashtra, everybody came. Why? They didn't support the genocide.
Yet another interesting aspect in this regard has been, the role of Akashwani.
Yeah.
During 1971 Liberation War, the Akashwani, through its dispatches, through its commentaries in Hindi, English, and also in Bengali from our Kolkata stations, played a major role in just disseminating the right kind of information to the people in Bangladesh and to different parts of the world. How do you look at the role of Akashvani in the yesteryears and now?
Akashvani was like not only a friend, was a fighter, like a soldier who fought for us. So I came here to Delhi and to Akashvani in search of those materials, those things which were broadcasted in 1971 to enrich our archive. Akashvani played a tremendous role in consolidating the public opinion against Pakistani. And not only that, they gave us confidence that one day we will win.
Bangladesh will be celebrating its 50th year of independence or the liberation war. The relations between India and Bangladesh, they have evolved over the years. And the chemistry between the two heads of states, Prime Minister Modi and Sheikh Hasina Wajid, it has really been full of warmth and cordiality. How do you look at the prospect of these relations in the years to come?
You see, you can't change your neighbors. You can change your friends, but you can't change your neighbors. So India, we have to depend on India, and India has to depend on Bangladesh. Maybe we're a small state, but you see, it's in a strategic location. We have our interests, India has their interest. But mutually, we have a historical tie. We cannot forget it. Yes, there's ups and downs in our relationship. But I think it's not developing, it's not flowering, and we hope it will be in that stage forever. Because if we want development in economics or culture, if we can consolidate our resource and use it for the good of common people, so this subcontinent will prosper. I cannot say anything about Pakistan because we now treat Pakistan as a failed state.
India has taken over as a non-permanent member of UN Security Council this year in the month of January. How do you look at India's role in the years to come as a member of the UN Security Council, and in future India's stakes for a permanent seat in the UN Security Council?
The Charter of United Nations should be changed. It's not a religious book. Only 5 states, they control the whole world. And the veto system, we condemn it. If you believe in democracy, which they profess, you see, there shouldn't be any veto power. And not if China can be a member of the Security Council, why not India? Why not one state from the Latin America? Why not one from the African region? There should be some members from this side of the world also. Only 5 nations or 5 states, they are controlling the whole world opinion resources. It is unfair.
Last but not the least, Professor, you are visiting India after quite some time and you will be here. How do you look, or what fascinates you most about India as a country, as a neighbor and as a friend?
I have traveled from Mizoram to Kanyakumari. It's a wonderful land. If you can see India, then you don't have to go to Europe or America to see civilization, to see variety of people, language, culture, and all amalgamated into an Indian culture, which represents hospitality, civilization, culture.
Thanks, Professor Muntasir Mamoon, sharing your valuable insights with the listeners of All India Radio on various aspects related to the liberation war of Bangladesh, the genocide, and the broad dimensions of India-Bangladesh relationships and the prospects it holds in store for the years to come. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Pope Francis arrived in Iraq on Friday and is expected to travel to Mosul on Sunday, where, according to media reports, he will pray for the victims of the conflict with the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, the ISIL, which left thousands of civilians dead. UNESCO, in a statement, said that the Pope's arrival will come as a message of peace and unity, supported on a pillar of diversity. Under the flagship initiative of UNESCO called Revive the Spirit of Mosul, UNESCO, together with partners, including the Iraqi government, has been working to preserve and promote its rich and diverse cultural and religious heritage, as well as prevent violent extremism through education.
American Space Agency NASA's Mars rover Perseverance has performed a test drive on the red planet on Friday. In a tweet, NASA said that the rover had covered 21 feet in its first test drive. The Perseverance rover ventured from its landing position on Thursday, 2 weeks after landing on the red planet, to seek signs of past life. During a news conference on Friday, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, shared photos of the tire tracks over and around small rocks. And now, news from the sports world.
It was a golden day for India in the field of sports as India defeated England in the final cricket test match at Ahmedabad to enter the final of the inaugural edition of the World Test Championship, and in badminton, Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu entered the women's singles final of the Swiss Open tournament. India defeated England by an innings and 25 runs in the fourth and final test played at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad this evening. With this win, India clinched the four-match series 3-1 and sealed a place in the final of the inaugural edition of the World Test Championship.
Absolutely outstanding. Got off to a bad start, if you want to call that first defeat in Chennai, but thereafter they looked like the champions. ATM Test Series, another one in the pocket for India. 13th consecutive series wins, and Virat Kohli and his boys will be pleased that they've qualified for the World Test Championship, and they will be playing at the Lords against New Zealand.
Rishabh Pant with his formidable innings of 101 runs and Washington Sundar, who scored unbeaten 96 runs, set up the huge win for the hosts after they bowled the visitors for 205 in their first innings. Ravichandran Ashwin and Akshar Patel picked up 5 wicket hauls in the second innings to help India bundle England out for 135. Dan Lawrence put up a half-century for the visitors. India made 365 runs in their first innings, while Rishabh Pant was declared Player of the Match. Player of the Series award went to Ravichandran Ashwin. Both teams will now shift their focus to the shortest format of the game, as they will play 5 T20 internationals at the same venue starting from 12th of this month. Now India will meet New Zealand in the final of the ICC World Test Championship, which is scheduled to start from June 18th at Lord's Cricket Ground. New Zealand had already qualified for the final of the World Test Championship last month. With a comprehensive 3-1 Test series win over England, Team India has reclaimed the top spot in the latest ICC Test team rankings. Virat Kohli and company jumped to the first position with 122 rating, while New Zealand are at second with 118. President Ramnath Kovind has congratulated Team India for winning the Test series 3-1 against England, becoming finalists of the inaugural ICC World Test Championship and reaching the top of the ICC Test team rankings table. In badminton, PV Sindhu has entered the women's singles final of the Swiss Open tournament at Basel. She defeated 4th seed Mia Blichfeld of Denmark 22-20, 21-10 in semi-final this evening. In men's singles semi-final, former champion Kidambi Srikanth lost to top seed Victor Axelsen of Denmark 13-21, 19-21. In men's doubles, world number 10 pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty face 6-seeded Danish pair of Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup Ramanson in the semi-final today. Anuja Kumar for World News, All India Radio.
Now let us take a look at major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post reports that the U.S. Senate is debating the $1.8 trillion COVID relief package piloted by President Joe Biden. Wall Street Journal cites a report to state that scientists are unearthing new clues suggesting that the virus that causes COVID-19 evolved naturally to infect humans. The Guardian reports from the English Premier League that a Granit Xhaka blunder and late drama cost Arsenal as they drew against Burnley. The Sydney Morning Herald writes that Australia's offer to host this year's British and Irish Lions series against South Africa has been rejected.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs valedictory session of Combined Commanders Conference at Kevadia in Gujarat. WHO thanks India, South Africa for proposals to WTO to waive patents on medical products for COVID-19 until the end of the pandemic. Foreign Secretary of India says India's relations with Japan have acquired dimensions of a special strategic and global partnership. India beat England in the final cricket test to clinch the series 3-1, qualify for the World Test Championship final, reclaim top spot in the latest ICC Test team rankings. And PV Sindhu storms into women's singles final of Swiss Open badminton tournament at Basel. And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.